We got Egg Money asking me, do you think that the capabilities of rectangle controls will ever be standardized? Yes, but wishful thinking. I've seen the document. There's a working document that's a fucking, I mean, it's like 100 pages long or more. And it lists out all of the fucking things that I just feel like, unfortunately, the people working on it are not the people who decide on rule sets for majors, but they're close. So I don't know. Someone's got to get on it. I mean, the document is there and I've seen it and I think it's a good document. It's 99% of the way there. Like it really is. They've thought of fucking everything. You know what I mean? There's banned angles because of obscure ice climbers desyncs. Like there's I've seen this document. There's a part that's like, there's this ice climbers desync that requires this specific angle. So you can't have this modifier set to this angle because that would allow the ice climbers players to do this weird desync that you can't do in a game control. You know what I mean? They've got everything in there. I've seen the document. It's a good document. It just needs to be part of rule sets. But we haven't gotten there yet. I don't know why. I don't know why. I haven't really been keeping up with that conversation, but I have faith that it will eventually become law. Let's say. Best way to introduce ultimate players to Melee. Oh boy, I gotta make a YouTube video on this one. I gotta make a whole YouTube video on this one. I wanna make a YouTube video. I'm trying to, there's a couple of videos I wanna make when Slippy Rant comes out, because I just think that that's gonna be a huge thing for content in general. One of them is this video, which is basically like, hey, are you an ultimate player? Here's how you get into Melee. But I mean, the way to do it, the way I would say it's the way I got into Melee, man. You just teach them like because the thing is, Melee has the thing Tekken has, where Melee is really good at fooling you into thinking you're hot shit. So even if you're garbage, all you really need to do is hit your first Falco shine, downer shine, and then you feel like you're a fucking god. So I always say the best thing to do is basically give people the belief that they too can do these advanced techniques. They're not very hard. And then once they start doing them, you know, they get hooked. And it's the same with fighting games where you practice combos. When you hit that first combo in a real match, you're like, oh, wait, I'm godlike. And then you kind of get hooked. That's the kind of way that you got to think about it. To me, that's kind of how I've always thought about getting people into harder fighting games, Melee being one of them. I want to answer this one just because it is SQ, and SQ is the homie. SQ asks, do you think there are potentially more viable characters in Melee that haven't been found because there isn't Amsa or Accents that are playing them? Or maybe even if they are viable, it's not worth the investment when the proven characters exist already. Yeah, the latter is how I feel, but I will say, the one character I gotta shout out is Samus. I think Samus, people used to think of as viable, and people basically forgot. And I think that the reason people kind of forgot about Samus, and this is like, to me, the viable character that we lost. It's like the lost technology. I think the Samus players just wanted to play better characters, and Hugo is Hugo. So draw your own conclusions. Hugo just stopped playing. But I think Plup just wanted to be fucking Plup. Plup didn't want to be Plup the Samus player. Plup wanted to be Plup. And Duck wanted to, I don't know, have a life and stop playing Melee. So, I mean, Duck plays Sheik or whatever and entered Big House, but you get what I'm saying. Even Duck, right? Duck would have, if Duck kept competing, Duck probably would have played Sheik. Again, I think that viable, and the thing about viable is like, I always stress this on Radio Melee. Viable is whatever you want it to mean. I think Don't Test Me is a classic example. People would have ranked Don't Test Me, aka Zane's Roy. People would have ranked Zane playing Roy in the top 30. So like, you could do that. But to get to there's this fucking catch-22 where to get to that level, you've got to play Marth. I don't know how else to say it. To get to that level of skill where you could just on top 30 players with Roy, you have to not have been beaten down all your career and developed a loser's mentality because you main Roy, which is a very unfortunate thing. I don't know how else to say it. I feel like you see this so fucking often. That's kind of how I feel about it. I think that viable can mean different things to different people. I definitely think that if your definition of viable is like top 50 in the world, then I mean, fucking Youngling's viable. You know, fucking Roy, Zelda's probably viable at that point. I think people should be more satisfied, and this is such a weird thing to say because, you know, your favorite top players will not say this, but I think people should be satisfied not being the best player in the world. I don't know. I still play Melee and enter tournaments, and I don't think I will become the best player in the world, and I don't really want to become the best player in the world. I just want to fucking schmoove on people and turn some heads while I'm at it. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's something you can do with a lot more characters than people get. Like Ringler. Ringler's probably gonna be ranked top 50 in the world at some point with Donkey Kong, which is crazy, right? Do I think Ringler's ever gonna win a super major? No, probably not. But you know what I mean? It's not that big a deal. It absolutely depends what your goals are. This isn't a question, but it's like I guess I can call this a take. I feel like there's a stigma around people who enjoy the competitive environment in Melee genre, but don't want to attend tournaments for one another. These types are treated like a subspecies of player, even though they might have just as much passion. It's annoying. Yeah, they shouldn't be treated that way because we need those people. We need fans. Every sport needs fans. It's just good for the game. It's better for the game if there are casual spectators. It's just better. I don't think we necessarily treat them as a subspecies though. I don't think we are. I mean, Mango makes fun of Redditors sometimes, which is, you know, that is what it is. I kind of wish the FGC as a whole celebrated players outside of the best players more often. Yeah, I know what you mean. That's kind of how I feel. Like, think about Hanzo Gonzo. Hanzo Gonzo's not the best player, but I love Hanzo Gonzo. You know what I'm saying? We should celebrate Hanzo Gonzo. Is that so wrong? Do you see this having... Oh, good question coming in from Stellar. Do you see this having any broader implications on the state of JP Melee? Do you see the JP scene growing because of Amsa's recent successes? Or is it not as big a deal because he's emigrated for other reasons? I think this will have an effect. Winning matters. There's something magical and miraculous and special about winning. And at the end of the day, I think that there is significance in it. And I observed this in Amsa's chat and Amsa's Twitter, and Hungry Clicker, the legendary FGC artist who drew Yoshi, Red Yoshi, with Baby Mario on his back when Amsa won Big House. Hungry Clicker's never drawn a Melee artwork ever until Amsa, because it was that special. I don't know what's gonna happen, you know. And yeah, Amsa's emigrated, but he's only in Canada for it's only a 1 year long visa. So I think it's I think we are gonna see something. I don't know what that's gonna look like, but I do think that there are implications. I don't know what those implications are, but there are implications. Gosh darn it. That's how I feel. Here's my boy Andy from the Pacific Northwest, my college roommate, Andy Singh. And Andy asks, with Amsa winning, do you think this will have some effect on the barrier of entry into Melee? Do you think a player might be on the fence? A player that might be on the fence about picking up Melee might feel motivated to practice knowing a top tier character didn't win. Actually, yes, because I think at the top level, and once you're in the community, it doesn't matter to you as much. Like, we all knew that Amsa was really good and was taking out all the top names already. But I think there's something about a mid-tier character winning, well, high tier, but whatever. Okay, mid-tier character winning a major after 22 years of a game's release that I think is inspiring to people, especially newcomers. I think newcomers are the number one sort, that's like the number one type of person who is going to be inspired by that sort of thing. And I totally would believe that there are going to be some people who are on the fence that are like, because people, you know, think about all the YouTube comments and all the Reddit comments you see from people who are like, well, Melee's solved, it's just Fox only found that station. And now it's like, well, no, I mean, Yoshi just won a major. And the competition's been as stiff as it's ever been. It's probably the hardest major we've ever had. To me, that probably gets that gets some people in for sure. Because those are the sorts of people that now they've got nothing to say. Now, what do they say now? It's like, nah, dude, Yoshi won. Yoshi absolutely won. Someone asked a very simple question. Is this the closest the top 10 has been in skill level? Yes, absolutely. The top 10 is crazier than it's literally ever been. It's basically the top 8 of Big House plus Plup, obviously. Imagine Plup didn't drop out and Leffen. It's like those 8, and then Wizzy, and then 10th is a toss-up. You've got Axe, you've got Johnny, you've got a couple people, None's up there. Laud, yeah, Slug, honestly Slug. Yeah, I mean, that's a toss-up at that point, but yeah. How much would Amsa need to win for Yoshi to like be placed above like a Falcon, Peach, Sheik kind of thing? The thing is, I don't think people put Yoshi where they put Yoshi because of results. I think they put Yoshi there because of theory. I don't think it's a question of, I don't think people are like, well, now that Amsa's winning. No, I think that when people make tier lists, at least when top players make tier lists, it's more about how good they think the character is in theory. Maybe not even in theory, in practice, but what I'm saying is I don't think they actually factor results in that. So it's not that Amsa would have to win a bunch, it's that Amsa would have to show, like, it's hard to imagine right now because we're fresh off the Big House win where Amsa won Big House and it felt like, oh my god, Amsa had an answer for everything. But like, you know, we've also seen those sets with Plup, and we've seen those sets with IBDW where it looks really difficult. It's more about what Amsa is doing in the sets. So I don't think Amsa winning is what matters. I think it's Amsa showing us counterplay to situations that have seemed tough for Yoshi in the past. Like, I think that Yoshi still has certain problems, you know, I'm continually impressed by Amsa's ability to kind of bring new things to the table, and in my mind, in particular, the Yoshi Puff matchup has looked better for Yoshi than I think it ever has been. I'm not convinced that it's up to the results. I think that people are, I think at least the people who are making tier lists, I think they're less results oriented than that. Let's put it that way. Is there a hidden benefit to playing mid-tier characters and top players with less experience again? Yeah, totally. I mean, you'll catch some people off guard for sure. I mean, there's always this question of like, well, when you start getting results, are they going to figure you out? And I do think, you know, for Amsa, I kind of made this joke in the interview where it's going to be like, because Amsa was saying now when I win a major, people are going to be ready for me, so it's going to be harder. And I made a joke. It's kind of like New Game Plus. You know, you beat the game the first time, but now all the enemies are harder. They're higher level and you're fighting stronger opponents. Amsa might be in New Game Plus mode right now. We might be in a situation where Amsa's actually new game, like he's New Game Plus again. All the enemies are a little stronger. You know, Mango suddenly he's been practicing with Nez or some shit, whatever, right? Like we might be in that timeline now, and we'll see what happens. You know, but I do think people are gonna take him. Not that people weren't taking Amsa seriously, but I do think that people are they're gonna flesh out certain situations that they didn't have that fleshed out in the past. Let's put it that way. I think Amsa, we're gonna see high level. I think Amsa's been consistently performing well. I think he's going to be consistently in that top cut. I don't think he's going to necessarily keep winning every major, but I think he's going to do good. What's it take, asks Pew Pew, for the ever elusive double storyline to manifest in Melee? Everyone says doubles missing a nerve. What was different before? Okay, here's the thing. To me, the coolest thing about PewFat was that before PewFat, the only teams that won majors were a god and someone else. And I mean that like Armada and his brother, or Mango and Lucky, or PP and Lozer. It was all, you needed someone who could win a singles tournament in your team to win a doubles tournament. That's just how it was. PewFat is the only team, to my knowledge, in history that can win majors, or could win majors, without having a god or a god level player somewhere on the team. So Leffen and Ice, for example, right? To me, the coolest thing about PewFat, and the reason that they turned heads, was because it was like, wait a minute, they are so good that they're beating the gods. And they could never do this in singles, but they are greater than the sum of their parts. And that was compelling. The storyline aspect of Melee, what people latch onto are the best players. The best players in Melee have star power. When I say the best players, I mean right now the god level threats. So it's Mango, Leffen, Plup, IBDW, Zane, Amsa, HBox, and Jmook, right? All 8 of them. Maybe 9 if you want to throw Lizzie in there. And I think that to have star power, you need to be one of those players. Or you need to be able to be, like, if Tempo and Run Riot, for example, started winning doubles tournaments over those guys, that would spark interest in doubles again. Or it would take just those, basically either the best players have to be competing in doubles, or better yet, the best players are competing in doubles and getting upset. So I guess what I'm saying is people who can win singles tournaments need to be entering doubles tournaments. And if they win, that's one thing. And if they lose, that's even better, because then it's like, oh shit. And that's what PewFat brought to the table in my mind. That was the most compelling thing about PewFat to me, because no one's ever done that. What do you think about Mango? What Mango was saying at seeding? Yeah, Mango was seeded too low. Well, Mango was seeded too low, but then on the flip side, like Mango was saying that, you know, he was seeded too low, but you know, on the flip side, it's like, okay, if you're say 7th seed, is that much better than being 5th seed? Like everyone's close enough in skill level these days that I'm not always that sure. I don't know, maybe it depends on the specific bracket. Sometimes it doesn't fucking matter. Sometimes you would literally rather be the lower seed because you have a better matchup there. So yeah, it fucking sucks if you're underseeded, but then, you know, if it's the difference between like 7 and like 5 or 4 or something, sometimes it doesn't matter that much. Kinda. Maybe it did at Big House. I don't know. I kind of forgot how it went at Big House. But Mango, you know, Mango did beat Zane in the fucking quarters match. And like, who had an easy quarters? Okay, obviously Plup was sick, and that whole side was weird because of Plup Leffen. But people were saying that HBox got seeded too high, and look what happened. He got fucked on by Amsa. You know, everyone's too good. So, you know, to a certain perspective, it's kind of like, yeah. You know, maybe we should do a better job of seeding, but then on the flip side, I would argue that right now it matters the least. Right now, specifically, it matters the least. Is there a demand for more training tools? Or does 20XX and Uncle Punch have everyone covered? Same for labbing and replays analysis. He's there. You know, the funny thing about 20XX and Uncle Punch is they actually do a lot of the same things. Now, Uncle Punch is those drills, but, you know, with Uncle Punch, you can do the thing where you can record some, like a computer doing something, and you can record multiple actions. What I think Uncle Punch really brought to the table was ease of use. It's easier to set up your replays than it ever has been before. I think the next level is also going to be in terms of ease of use. We already have the ability. So literally, Billy Bo Peep about a year ago or 2 years ago made a save state in Uncle Punch where you can load it up and Falco gets bared off stage by Fox at 50% and then does a recovery. And the recovery is a mix up between a shorten to the ledge, a full-length side B, a side B at side platform height that edge cancels, an up B that goes high, an up B that goes to the ledge, and an up B that goes straight, or something like that. It's like Falco basically does the recovery flowchart. Like Falco does something that's a recovery. You just loop it. You basically get to practice your edge guard flowchart. And this Falco, you know, you either hit or you don't, and then it resets, and the Falco tries to recover again. And it just resets back to Falco getting back aired off stage at 60 or 50 or something. I think the next level of training tools is accessibility, because to set that up right now is still a little bit annoying. I would love if there was like a website or something, or some kind of client that made it really easy to put your save states out there and really easy to load them up. Because it was the same thing from 20XX to Uncle Punch. 20XX already had replay capabilities. You could make a Falco tech on the platform to the left 75% of the time and tech to the right 25% of the time. You could already do that with 20XX. But Uncle Punch made it easier to set up. So I think that we've got everything we need in terms of training, but I think ease of use, and especially I think in terms of that replay feature, or that, I should say, that save state feature, where you can literally have recorded, pre-recorded sequences that you want to practice, and getting those in the hands of more people, that's going to be a question of accessibility and easy use and user interface, to be perfectly honest with you, over the core tools themselves changing. I think the tools themselves are already there. So savestate.gg apparently is this, and maybe it's gotten easier over time. Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. Like, I think there's also a Discord for this, and Billy Bo Peep is the main person who has made a bunch of them for Fox, and it's really, really cool. I would love this site to have a video functionality showing off all the different options. Imagine if there was a video functionality. There's nothing for Sheik. That is tragic. I wish this was used heavily. I wish this was used heavily, because it's a really, really, really sick idea. And this is the kind of thing that, yeah, I think we do have a demand for it, to be perfectly honest with you. You guys were beginning to talk up the tournament as potentially the most stacked of all time. How hard did it hit you when you realized Amsa could be winning it? Yeah, you know what's fucked up? It might have even been Blur. Blur said some Blur always says some Blur said some like, yo, Amsa could fucking win this, bro. I looked at the bracket like, bro, he's got Sensei into Mango. And what the crazy part is, he said this back before Mango beat Zayn. So I was like, damn, he's got Sensei and Mango? I'm like, he was like, the way he said it, he was like writing off Zayn. I was like, damn, really? Like, you don't think? But he's like, no, he's got Sensei and Mango. I was like, okay, that's pretty good. And he's like, he's beaten Mango the last 3 times. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's compelling. That's compelling, you know. And I was saying it kind of backstage, but you know, I was saying it at Summit 12 or whatever the fucking summit was, that Amsa was playing really good. But I would say, especially when it was when he beat HBox, then when you had Mango, it was like, well, this is super doable. I'm not gonna say expected, but it was like, okay, this is real. This is happening. I don't know that it hit me that hard, because we kind of saw it coming in a weird way. Like, we'd kind of been thinking about it, we'd been talking about it the night before, so it didn't really like hit me hard, but it was still like some, you know, it's like, oh shit. You know, this might be the one. After Jmook, who's the next player you can see winning a major? Out of people who haven't done it yet. So no Axe, no Wiz. I'm not gonna say Axe, I'm not gonna say Wizzy, they already won. Okay, I think people are expecting me to say Laud, and I think Laud is actually a great pick. Laud fucking beat Zayn. I think Laud's up there. I think even Triff is up there. I'm gonna say Johnny. I'm gonna say S2J. I don't know. Maybe this is I'm just recency bias because of fucking Shine? Was it Shine? But for a moment, I was like, wait, Johnny could win this tournament. Like, there was a moment. Yeah, I'm not naming people who've already won a major. Mewtwo King. Mewtwo King with Uncle Punch. I think S2J actually could do it. I actually do think S2J could do it. And I think he's the kind of player that is still getting better. I think Laud could do it. I think Laud, S2J. The only thing with Fiction is I feel like Fiction, sometimes you still see Fiction having some tough matchups. But okay, the Falco's getting better faster, or getting better fast, I will say. So maybe Fiction gets there. I don't know. And another question is, how long do you think it will take for a new major winner? Okay, I think Jmook's gonna win one literally any day now. I think Jmook could literally win the next tournament. Jmook could win off-season this weekend, or the Ludwig Invitational, and that just wouldn't be that weird. Jmook can beat every single player. I just don't think that's that weird. We're not even counting Jmook. You did say after Jmook. Okay, so if we're not counting Jmook, I will say maybe within a year, but also maybe not. Because the thing is, the field is so stacked right now when it comes to the existing top players, like the 8 or so god level threats, that unfortunately there are way more players you have to worry about now than there ever have been. And so if you have a bad matchup, like if Jmook doesn't figure out HBox, well, I guess on one hand, granted, you could probably win a major and just dodge HBox. But then on the other hand, you better be good enough against that field of top players that you can reliably beat, let's say, most of them.